Hi guys, and welcome back to a new episode of my McLaren Senna GTR modeling series. In the last episode, we modeled the rear section of the car. Now in this episode, we'll finally complete our McLaren by adding all the remaining details. For this episode, you'll need some extra reference images, which you can find for free on my Discord channel or Patreon. With that said, don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and now let's finish this model. The first thing we're going to do are the tires. And for this reason, I'm going to add one of the references you can find on my Discord channel. After that, place your 3D cursor at the center of the tire. Now add a circle with 18 vertices and use it as a base for modeling the tire spokes. I started by modeling their base shape, then I added the lug holes and additional details. If you'd like a more in-depth breakdown of this process, I have a dedicated tutorial on modeling car tires in Blender. Make sure to check it out. Once your spokes are ready, connect them together to create the rim using a circle, then complete everything by extruding the barrel. And finally, our tire is almost complete. You'll just have to duplicate your rim's profile, spin it around a few times, and connect these two sides. Obviously, while making sure to merge duplicates and to recalculate normals. After finishing with the tire, I passed on making the center cap starting from a 6 vertices circle, then extruding backwards and modeling those little straight pieces separately. Once you modeled this part of the cap, just separate one of these faces from it and spin it around once you finished. Now we can pass on modeling the brake disc and caliper. For the brake disc, simply start from a circle and extrude to create a cylinder. Then press I to inset and extrude outwards to create this raised part of the brake disc. Now we need to model this detail here. To do that, I firstly connected 2 vertices from my brake disc to create an edge that I separated to a new object. Once I did that, I created a face from this and started to model this part. And after that, I proceeded on making a small screw on top of this and to duplicate everything around my brake disc. After finishing with the brake disc, we can move on making the brake caliper. To do that, I firstly had to duplicate these faces to match the caliper's dimensions. Then I extruded these inwards and outwards using E, then S to create an outline for the caliper's silhouette. Right after doing that, I moved the brake caliper to the center of the scene so that I can later apply a mirror modifier. And then I deleted the bottom part so that I could mirror it once I finished modeling the brake caliper. Once your base model is complete, reposition your reference image behind the caliper's upper section and begin to carefully model its details. For modeling the most intricate details, you can use Blender's useful knife tool. Just press K, trace your desired shape, and confirm with Enter. Afterward, double-check your topology to maintain clean, quad-dominant geometry. Now half of your brake caliper is ready. Mirror it around the Z-axis and adjust these finishing details. And here is our brake caliper. Now let's place it onto our disc. Just position your cursor on your brake disc, then select the caliper and press Selection to Cursor in the 3D cursor menu. Then mirror this again around the Y-axis. And our wheel is complete. Just adjust its rotation around the Y-axis and duplicate its components on the rear section of the car. Now we're going to model the rear view mirrors. They have a pretty basic shape. After duplicating them, just extrude these faces upward and make any necessary adjustments to complete the form. Then delete these faces to create the mirror's hole and add further details to make it look realistic. And finally, it's time to start modeling the backside of the car. First of all, scale this part of the spoiler down the Y-axis to fit the references. Then use your knife tool to pick these edges from the spoiler and model the support that goes through both sides. Once I completed the support, I duplicated these edges from the back of the car and modeled this little wing. Now let's model the rear diffuser. I started by duplicating one edge loop from the support we created earlier. Then I carefully modeled the diffuser's curve. Then I extruded this side downwards and extruded this border outward. Then finally, to complete this part, I beveled these edges and extruded downwards to create the diffuser fences. Now that the rear diffuser is complete, we can start working on modeling some details inside this part of the car. First of all, I just extruded this edges downwards, then back, to create the support for the rear lights and the McLaren logo. Then duplicate this edges again and extrude them back to start creating this air outlet. Now just position your 3D cursor in this position and use it as a pivot point to model the air outlet, which follows an upwards rising curve. And once you're satisfied with your shape, press Alt+E and extrude along normals. Now we have to model this metal bar that supports our air outlet. I started by creating a plane, then I scaled it to form a rectangle and extruded the bar's form. Then to make my form look better, I deleted these edges and connected these key points together using the Bridge Edge Loops function, making sure to set the smoothing parameter to 0 in the lower left panel. Once I finished modeling the bar, I added a new plane to start modeling the remaining details. For these components specifically, I didn't have to use any subdivision modifier, so feel free to delete them from your modifiers list. However, I kept the bevel modifier and applied to all the sharp edges in order to accentuate the corners and get a better effect once we get texturing our car. On this sort of crush structure, I had to use 2 array modifiers in order to create the right amount of spheres at the right distances. Just set up one modifier that duplicates the spheres across the y-axis, and then another one that does the same operation, but on the z-axis. Finally, we can start working on the rear lights. After selecting the faces the lights needed to occupy, I extruded them down and started defining its shape. Then to create the details, I moved these edges backwards, created a hole in front of it to make the glass, and added 2 simple light rods inside of it. Let's continue modeling the car's details by modeling this little one right here, which seems to be something like a battery tender or a telemetry port. Anyway, to model it, I simply created a rectangle that I beveled on both sides to create a curve. Then I beveled the vertex in the center to model the port. After completing the port, I went on modeling a cover for the wheels. Basically, I duplicated the faces around my tires, then I extruded them back and filled the hole behind of them. I also extruded these edges back again to cover the car's back. And then I deleted this part here. Finally, to finish the backside of the car, we're going to recreate the McLaren logo. Start by duplicating one face from the air outlet we modeled earlier, then carefully define the shape for the logo stand. Quickly note that for this object, I didn't need to use a subdivision modifier, given the simplicity of its shape. However, I did use a bevel modifier in order to accentuate sharp corners. Now that we have our stand, we can focus on the text. Obviously, I'm going to use Blender's text object for this, and I'm going to use a particular font that is very similar to the one used for the McLaren logo. You can find it on my Patreon or on my Discord channel. Just press Tab to edit the text and write McLaren. Then increase the text size to 0.023 and quickly adjust the stand's shape to fit the text. Then go back to your text properties and increase the extrude value in the geometry tab to give it volume. Now we just need to add the Speedmark to it, and unfortunately, we'll have to model it manually. For this reason, I added a new reference image to my scene containing the logo we're trying to recreate. And then, starting from a plane, I carefully modeled the Speedmark in the right position relatively to the logo's text. I also had to lower the entire stand to make it fit correctly. And with this, we're finally finished with the back of the car. The last thing we need to handle is the front. I'm going to start by modeling this part on the side, and during the process, I also slightly adjusted the hood shape. Then I extruded this edge loop here and created a cover for the front wheels. And I proceeded to model the front splitter. Now that the splitter is done, we can start working to these aerodynamic elements attached to the hood. To model those, I just defined their basic shape following their curve, then I slightly rotated them to give them their final form. I also added a little support here to give my model more detail and realism. Now let's model all the components under the hood of our car, starting from the supports in the center. I started by selecting these faces here. Then I extruded them up and carefully adjusted their shape to match my blueprint. Once this support was done, I immediately went on extending this part here. That goes right above the support we created and right under our car's headlights. Then I picked these faces from the hood, I insetted them and extruded them back. We can now focus on modeling the headlights. First of all, I duplicated the borders around the parts we modeled earlier and began to create a cover for the headlights hole. Then I picked these vertices and extruded on the Y-axis to create the lower headlight. Then I deleted these faces and focused on closing the headlights walls. Then I proceeded on closing this hole here where there's going to be the upper headlights. After that, we just need to create the headlights. For the lower ones, I just insetted some faces to cut their form. Then I filled them by creating a simple rod inside of them. Then, for the upper headlights, I just cut them form from our base mesh like we did earlier. Then I modeled a little headlight and duplicated it a bunch of times. And with this, our car is almost complete. I just had to create this little piece of metal here. And I had to create a grid to put in front of our car. To create it, I basically just created a plane, then subdivided into edit mode and added a subdivision modifier, making sure to select Simple in the Modifiers tab. Then I added a decimate and a wireframe modifier, selecting Unsubdivide in the decimate modifier with one iteration, and just adjusted the wireframe's thickness to complete it. Finally, I just positioned it in front of the car. I also created another one for this air intake. And here is our final result. Thank y'all so much for your support throughout this series. Next up, we'll be tackling textures. Maybe drop a comment below telling us which color you'd love to see on our stunning McLaren. This said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.